It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
I'm going to start with this first one from Brian. It's Brian with a Y. He said, for a person in their early 40s that has a net worth over $1 million, is it okay to slow down in order to make a kid's dream come true? Specifically, he wants to be a race car driver, so it has a monetary cost to it. So this is a little unique. He's asking, all right, we're in our 40s and we have this net worth over $1 million. Can we take our foot off the pedal and pursue this other thing for the benefit of my child? Or perhaps, if that's something they're thinking about doing, how would they assess if they're at a place where they can do that? And that is something that they've done the work to lay the foundation to be able to do.
Well, I'd look at this. I mean, I think this is a great time to ask a question like this because we're right in the middle of the Olympics right now, and you just know every one of those Olympic athletes had somebody in the background that recognized talent at a young age, fully invested in it, and then through their raw determination, talent, and discipline, turned into these, gold medal seeking Olympians. And then he mentioned racing, and I think about if you haven't gone on Netflix and watched that Formula One series, it's fascinating to see that all these young folks that are running these Formula One cars typically started in go-kart racing at a very young age.
Very early.
And so I think this is a great question, but I do think that I have no problem, especially if somebody was a financial mutant and they've laid out the foundation. 7-figure investable assets in your early 40s is something to be commended, and that's great. That does provide you some additional flexibility to consider.
Yeah, what's beautiful is if you go out to our website, moneyguy.com/resource, and look at our wealth multiplier, you can see that if a 40-year-old has $1 million, without saving another dollar, that million is on track to be worth $7 million by the time that they get to retirement. So that's a great resource to go use.
So my word of caution on this is I'd look at this as almost as a business endeavor in some ways. Now, look, I want you, if it's just for your kids' happiness, then you need to put what that happiness in a dollar amount is worth. This is something, because I went to the movies this past weekend with the family. Went and saw Jungle Cruise.
Oh, how was it?
The two actors on there carried the movie. I mean, it's if you thought about the concept or the plot, it's kind of hokey, but those two actors really carried it. But it was one of those things, while the trailer was of the Williams sisters. If you think about that, there's a movie coming out and it shows this father that's just putting all the energy into these tennis phenoms at an early age. And I love those stories. And Will Smith's going to be in that movie. But here's the thing. I would ask if anybody has these type of aspirations, just like in a business, I have you do what you think will happen, worst case scenario, and then best case scenario. I want you to kind of, and that sounds weird because this is, your children and investing in a talent, but I'm telling you this so you can go into it realistic on where you're putting a boundary or a stopping point on how much you're going to invest in this, because what I don't want you to do is be that American Idol parent where they tell you, they go on camera and they tell everybody how awesome their child is, and then their kid's first note is so off tune that you're like, oh, that has to be the love of a parent. We'll see that. Those people are unrealistic. So I don't have a problem with a parent investing in their children and putting, hope, as long as the kids have the passion. You're not putting your dreams inside of your child, but if the child has the talent and the passion, but then you'll get to a point that you just need to say, is this worth it? And you coming from a baseball background, a collegiate baseball background, you probably have a unique perspective on this too.
Yeah, I was going to say one of the things that you would need to assess is if you were going to go down this path with your child, do you know how far that path goes? When early on, one of the big things when I was coming up was travel baseball was turning into like this hot thing. And not like traveling to the next county over, like traveling from state to state. And like it was this like interesting idea, to play, 10 games and travel around, for a 5, 6, 7-year-old kid. But then as we got older, we're talking about playing 40, 50, 60 games in a summer, which is sort of mind-blowing, right? So you need to understand, if you're going to go down this race car thing, it's one thing if you say, all right, we're going to take our foot off the pedal and we're going to allow our child to pursue becoming a race car driver. But does that allow your assets to continue to build towards financial independence in the background? Or does it become something that begins drawing off of those assets that you've already built? Because if it does that, you really have to think through, are we in a position where we can afford to do this? This is a great time if you are thinking about large investments that have a very, very long tail, like a race car driving career. I would say this might be a great time to think about going to the next level, reaching out to a professional advisor to say, hey, let's play this out. If we cut our savings and we know it's going to cost this much and we have this income, does this actually work for the next 18 years?
Well, because I was going to say you need to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time, because you need to not only, you've got two parallel things going here. You've got your financial independence dream, and then you got your child's dream. Those things, if you can't walk and chew gum at the same time, then I think Bo is spot on in the fact that you maybe want somebody in the background that can run all the Monte Carlo simulations, give you annual updates on if this is viable, because you are going to really need to wear a bunch of hats. You're not only going to be a parent, you're going to be an investor, you're going to be a planner, and you're also going to be the coach or the support structure for this child that you're doing something quite unique. And that's a lot of responsibility, and you want to do it well.